Boom. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us this evening. We're going to have a nice conversation about Bitcoin, financial technology, and I guess just general philosophy of whatever the heck might be going through my brain at that particular moment. So we're going to start with what I was sharing in the private group that I was so classically or unclassically calling chart art. So for those of you that have been studying with us for quite some time, you'll recognize what I'm about to say. Often when you are looking at reaccumulation or potentially distributional areas, we follow either what's called breaking the ice, which is a great way to communicate and start conversations, or jumping the creek. Jumping the creek is a bullish scenario where you move up above the previous regression trend lines, and is often drawn in as something like this. And this is what they would call the creek, this white line. But if you've been following us for quite some time, you'll know that I've started to use these falling kind of regression lines. And again, we're always kind of learning and growing in our style to figure out how some of this stuff works as we move forward. So one of the things I've started to do is kind of focus on these creek jumps or these ice breakers. So again, let's maybe grab a bit of a bigger brush here with the white, just like this, yeah. So this would be effectively the ice, and this would effectively be the creek. And we've gone over this because often, if you would like to see it in another way, it looks like the Bollinger Bands. So we'll turn the Bollinger Bands on, as you can see, just where both the creek and the ice would be, we have the Bollinger Bands showing up quite predominantly. So I want to just kind of explain the idea behind this process, because essentially what we're doing is trying to take a look at two key areas. The bottom regression line here looks bullish as we're falling into what appears to be a falling wedge. And we've just broken up above each of the resistance lines of that wedge. So as you can see, we're actually in between this purple area, which I have drawn here as well. It's kind of like the really tight bounds around the edge of this Bollinger Band itself. So again, when we're getting into the minutia, what we're trying to do is learn as much about the architecture of each of these trading ranges as possible. Down here right now, what's super positive is we're actually getting a fair amount of result for a limited amount of supply coming into the market. This is the first bullish indicator of this uptrend, aside from just the sheer amount of buying power that took place in this potential spring here. Now, as the days went on, what it seemed like a good idea to do was kind of watch these falling lines, right? So it looks kind of messy, but as you can see here, if we back up to the start of our downtrend, here's the first primary downtrend, and every color we got a little bit lighter until finally our yellow line here, which was basically our again the jump of the creek here. Sorry, I'm getting a phone call on the side of my it's kind of was distracting me a little bit there. So this green area here is actually the start of the top of the trading range. Now, again, this is always one of the tricky parts. It's much easier to identify long-term trading ranges. Like, one of the reasons why we are so excited about the start of the bull market is just because of the sheer amount of time that it took place to create this beautiful accumulation pattern that we were looking at and its potential. So it's much easier to chart these longer term patterns, and not only that, you actually have a significantly higher likelihood of being right when you chart at this time frame. So we're being pushed into a kind of a pigeonhole of a moment, which is we have to pay attention to these shorter time frames, because that's kind of where we are. My dog's talking to me. He wants to go outside. You're gonna have to wait till I'm done, Piero. So back into this trading range, what we're watching for and trying to understand is the finality of this. Remember that there's two key scenarios. In the final phases of a breakdown, you can close up above the box and continue, or that can be your line of distribution before you come back down and go much lower. So we're about to witness over the next, let's say, 48 hours, a potentially very crucial part of the way this trading range plays out. So I still feel that it was going to take longer, like into July or August. But again, you might see something similar where you get a breakout of the box You get a test into 52, it comes back down to 42, hits up to 58, comes back down to 48, and then moves up higher. Now, this would put us into the mid of July before we're kind of on our way and out again. Now, this is two key moments. You could see a big bull trap here, some would say. I just think fundamentally speaking, we've been witnessing the birth of a financial revolution in hopefully what becomes one of the most interesting well, it seems to be one of the most interesting revolutions. Maybe it's because we've got all these cameras and all things like YouTube to record and chat on, but again, I think we're about to witness the start of the breakout of this beautiful trading range. Again, I want to give a shout out to our private bear family. So if you go to Twitter, follow us on Twitter. I want to give a big shout out to two of our private members. We like to highlight their work by sharing their content in the tweets. So there's mine. Let's see here. Where was Bear Den Jerry's? Bear Den Jerry had a really great one I wanted to share. Yes, this was a one from Bear Den Jerry. This was his ETH to USD 4-hour reaccumulation after decline. And again, here you see the creek drawn in. And what I was trying to highlight here is that I'm starting to view them as really hard supply lines, just for learning's sake. But hats off to Bear Den Jerry on that one. I really like these charts when you guys go through and put them all together. Congratulations on doing fantastic homework. I love that. And then another one here. Yes, this one was by Glasswalker. Shout out to Glasswalker and this fantastic accumulation chart for Bitcoin as well. So again, you know, part of the interesting idea here is that we are now holding clear above this descending line, which could be viewed as our creek. So we'll have to keep a really close eye on the jump above and the possible break below on the creek. As we are looking at here, it would look something like this. Are we jumping the creek right now? And I think that what we're going to really want to pay attention to again, just for the minutia of the learning process itself, not that I think you should be charting or trading on these time frames. I think you should have a much more macro perspective, is this purple area here and this yellow line here. So we've been following this one. It was in the private group and we broke above. Now we get to see, do we hold above the yellow, move above the purple, the green, and then we're off to probably maybe back on the bull market in the next month or two. Again, I do believe that this time is designed to bore people. This time is designed to shake out the rest that we can, so we could see something like this with a spring finality. Again, we've seen these falling wedges in reaccumulation patterns before, and that could be what we're witnessing now, where you get this falling wedge moment in between both the red and the yellow line here. So again, we're using some of these longer term regression lines to follow down where some of the stylization of the big buyers and sellers, they're using bots. Like clearly we know they're using bots to buy and sell. They're running it really hard between these lines and the point of control. But again, we have a really positive signal, at least for this moment, which is a nice amount of strength for a fairly limited amount of effort to go through here too. So this is a positive sign. And if we start to close above these lines and on our way out, there'll be less and less indicating that there's any more room for downside. So again, we could still see a spike down here, but every time we make a move like this, especially if we close above 38 to 42 here right now and move into 41, it's going to be an extraordinarily strong signal. Even if we do come back down to test it, that may have been the spring. And that was a hats off to Glasswalker again, who's pointing out that we could still see a further spring. Again, I agree with this sentiment. We are again on these shorter time frames, the 6 hour. It's a little bit hard, but again, one of the fun ways to look at that is to imagine both the jumping of the creek as the Bollinger Band above, or the jumping, breaking the ice as the Bollinger Band below. And again, you don't need the Bollinger Bands. I actually like and I prefer using these hard lines, as you can see here. It's just fun to draw and then watch them move around those lines. It makes it a little easier to be patient, I've found, and just watch the movement. I'm going to finalize with the NASDAQ today, and then I'm going to go out for dinner probably. I just wanted to share this one. We had been watching this pattern here on the NASDAQ, and I thought that what was interesting is that we were the first moment when we broke outside and back down above the box and moved up. That's a pretty strong signal, especially because we have limited supply coming in here. Now would be a little worrying. The start of this trading range here, this was a start of a sign of weakness, at least into the trading range, especially because of how much supply came in and sold. But again, limited downside, and that was a big chunk of supply too. So again, we're trying to measure some of the risk here in the general markets, but seeing this new move to the upside on very limited less buy and even more sell, and we still went up. We'll want to keep a close eye on the general markets in the coming week just to see what happens here, and that should bode quite well for Bitcoin too. So anyways, thank you all for joining us this evening. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I just wanted to make a quick little update. I thought it was kind of a fun moment to share the chart. I think it's a lot of fun and important. Again, we're probably looking for a build up in this area. It'll likely come back and test the point of control. Again, between this yellow and this purple line here as we move out. Again, I suspect probably pretty nicely we'll see something like this. Where's my drawing tool? Yeah, something like this. Bang, bang, bang. This would be a nice change around the trend. But again, this is where you could see something like this and then move into that further spring, which is actually very likely. We've seen these springs come into the very finale, the very end of the falling wedge. So again, just to highlight here, what we're actually witnessing is a falling wedge. So this is quite a traditional pattern moving through a horizontal trading range known as the Wyckoff trading ranges. And this is actually the start of, again, a really bullish pattern. Glasswalker here drew it as a downward channel, but if you are part of the Arcane Bear private group, we have these up in your private den area as well as other member resources. Go check that out by going to Wyckoff trading ranges, and then I'll show you what this kind of falling wedge, I think it was schematic 2, looks like. No, schematic 4. Okay, so here, schematic 4, you have this falling wedge and falling channel, and where phase C does come lower. The downside here is we've actually already jumped above the falling wedge itself, and it was at significantly less of an angle here too, right? It wasn't as hard pushing downwards. You could have made an argument that this orange line here was a hard pushing downwards falling wedge like this. But now that we've broken above that and we're on the yellow here, it's still looking good. So we're going to probably move in this area for another day or two. If we jump above 42, 43, we close nice and strong above 41,000. It should signal something nice to the market. And then we'll want to be super cautious, because if we come back down into the trading range after we go up here, that's a bad signal. So we'll want to keep a really close eye on this one. That last final moment in what we call phase C is always a little bit of a tricky doozle, especially when you're not charting the long-term patterns that we love so much, where you can take 1,200 days to just accumulate assets while nobody's paying attention, myself included quite often. Try not to pay too much attention, and then enjoy the ride. Again, I still think we've got more of the ride left. If you're new to investments, let me say a few key things. Don't use leverage. It's never a great way to go. Be patient. Investing is like going to the gym. You should be showing up frequently and going often. So don't negate that good things take time, and you'll do great. Anyways, we'll leave it at that. Thank you all for joining us this evening. This is Teal with the Arcane Bear. I'm going to jump off. I just wanted to go over the Bitcoin and the NASDAQ tonight. I just wanted to make a quick little update. Just wanted to share just a little bit there. I thought it was a fun moment, again, just to go over the kind of chart art stuff for the private members and share with the general community as well. So we've been going over that one particular pattern and watching it the last week here. And again, there it is. That's how it sits. And remember that we are really high up. We got here by making really smart moves and enjoying the beginning of the trading range of the bull market, signified by the pandemic, followed by a lot of reaccumulation signals itself. This whole area of volatility, again, I think goes higher, but we're going to want to be really cautious because it could come back down lower, and that will signal maybe a point to take off a little bit more risk. Again, remember, we made all of our entries back here, so even if that were the case, we've done well for the playing so far. But it's just, you want to understand how we got here. Otherwise, all of this kind of short-term minutia stuff that I'm trading. Oh, there we go. Yeah, here. There we go. There's the full picture. So again, entry into the markets. Even if you were late to some degree, the pandemic was the start. And then note that this whole area has been very volatile. So this is usually where it shakes out a new average new investors anyway. So just be more appropriately focused on long-term accumulation strategies, basically regardless of price, knowing that you found something valuable, and you'll do much better over the years. Anyways, with the Arcane Bear. We'll see you guys again on the next episode. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that. Got some podcasts coming tomorrow. Pretty excited about that. God, it's weird. I don't I almost canceled my ticket to Bali the other day. Shh, don't tell anyone. I was like, what the fuck is going on in the world right now? I like studying medical literature a lot, and I'm a big fan of open and free conversations and stuff. And the censorship is crazy right now. So anyways, the point of the story is my dogs wanted outside, and I figured it was time to let them do that. Yeah, we'll speak again soon. Hope you guys all have a great evening. Let's see here. I'll look at a few of your guys' thoughts and questions. We'll just riff for a minute or two. Why not? DJ Wisdom says, I encourage everyone to join the Bear Den, tremendous community with mutual investment, education, and growth. Thank you, DJ Wisdom. I appreciate that. We were working hard on our Wu Wei research arm right now. So that's a thing. That's what we're doing. That's what I spend most of the time doing right now. Scaling up. Things are going great. Let's hear. Take a look at the next one. Thanks for your video. It's my pleasure. It says, hi, T.O. As you're a fan of Avalanche, have you also looked into Near? Similar projects, less hyped but amazing tech and backing. I try to keep things simple. I'm a big fan of at least I'm learning how to work with other people more frequently. So I just try to, I find lots of interesting stuff, and then I run it through not just my eyes, but a few other people's thought process and see where we land. Makes it a lot easier. So I have no idea what Near is. Just only so much bandwidth, Sing us a song, Bear, please. No, well, I'm not a great singer. Not right off the cuff. Maybe we'll start doing more vlog mixes, music stuff again. Croc safer than Bali. I don't know what that means. What kind of medical stuff? I'm not even gonna get into talking about it. It's a background conversation. I just like studying, period. There's a lot of conversations that people think are fringe that are actually significant. There's a famous Nobel Prize winning quote that says, science advances one funeral at a time. And sadly, we've been having a lot of funerals, and we're still stagnant right now. In fact, we're moving backwards in time in our ability to have scientific conversations and discussions in an open, free arena. It's difficult, especially because science changes so quickly. How could you not be able to discuss everything open and freely? It's quite disturbing. How are your headaches? Oh yeah, they're fine. I think it's from bread. It seems like the most logical thing. It's I just can't eat gluten ever again. It's weird. I've had issues with bread before, and then it comes back. And it was gone. It didn't bother me for a few years, and it came back. Maybe it's because I don't know. I live in the jungle. I've got a private well, but I don't think we do a pretty good job of cleaning the water. Anyways, who knows? We could speculate about parasites and ways to help parasites. Anyways, whatever. If those of you that do your homework, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about on multiple levels there. So hopefully you're doing your homework. If not, that's fine. Wouldn't it be funny? I was thinking, wouldn't it be funny that if when you went to the doctor, they had to so thoroughly explain to you the mechanisms of actions that you had to take a test on the drugs that you were taking to know what it was before you could take it? Unless you were dire straits, look, you have to be able to answer a 10-point question. about the drugs that we're about to give you. This is not medical or financial advice. I'm clearly not talking about any drugs, but just in general, you know how many people just go to the doctor, they get drugs from, they have no fucking clue what they do, what they're for, how they work, why they may or may not work. And that's normal. It's normal that people do that. That's funny. So anyways, this is my rant. That's my riff. I'm just going to block the people that are leaving spam. Maybe we'll leave one or two of your guys' thoughts and questions here as well, just for fun. Oh, the chat's not working. Alan Ernest says, I love your vlogs. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. I like making them. I like making vlogs. They're definitely a fun thing for me. You have a beautiful voice. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, well, I guess I did play a song last time on the guitar. So that was, I wrote like 3 or 4 kind of folk songs, not my normal style to write folk, but I wrote a little bit of folk last time. I'll do more vlogs again too. I've been trying to figure out how to deal with this. Like, it's significantly more difficult than I would have thought. You know, focusing on, again, I love study. I love research. I spend a lot of time doing that. It's been a big part of my life. I continue to do that for lots of years. That's why I think we've done well with a lot of our research to begin with. Yeah, it's just weird. I don't know. Like, I've never felt so weird about everything. We want music. Everyone's saying we'd like some music. Okay. Yeah, music. Okay. Yeah, let's do some music. Okay, we'll try the guitar again. I'll probably have to tune it. So what I'll try to do, guys, is that because so many of you, and I'm so grateful for this, by the way, because so many of you also like the random stuff that I get into along my travels, we're going to figure out a way to integrate our research and these live streams and our general conversations into the market and psychology as we move forward. It can be a bit more varied as well, I guess. We'll just have to tune that. If you can't tune an instrument by ear, it's something worth learning how to figure out. Because that way, anytime there's an instrument anywhere in the world, you just pick it up and be like, yeah, now it's in tune. Any one of them. You give me an instrument, I can figure out how to tune it. So what were we playing last time? Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to move the mic down lower because... So, Bear Family. I'll figure out how to do this. I'll put some serious thought into how to blend these together a little bit more seamlessly, because I'm sure it's possible. Carry me home, holy water. Into the sand and wade out often into the distance. Carry me home. Holy water, I'm coming for to carry me home. Carry me home. carry me home. Holy water. Anyways, that was a lot of fun. Thank you guys. To the Arcane Bear. We're going to find a way to mix some of the other lifestyle stuff into just the general vlogs and the streams and make it a bit more cohesive. I'm so grateful for those of you that love the eclecticness of the Arcane Bear channel alongside all of the interesting things you know, that are probably worth investing in, worth sharing your time with. I'm very grateful that you spend your time sharing it with us. It's Tio from the Arcane Bear. From all the Bear family to all the other Bear family out there, we'll see you guys again on the next episode.